Hello everybody, this is Vinton, aka BitB, and welcome out to another BitB stream. Thanks for coming out. It is Saturday. Yes, that's what it is, Saturday. We're going to be playing a little bit more Phoenix Wright, Trials and Tribulations. Okay, so last time we played this, oh my god. So last time, I probably should have cut it off after the trial, because it ended up going for a good 4 hours. And I cut out a whole lot of that running around and all that stuff that we did the last time, but man, no, that lasted for way longer than most Phoenix Wright streams should be going. But regardless, we did get through it, and we made it to the next trial, so we're going to go ahead and head right into that. Alright, from chapter start. Let us begin. Oh, hold on. I'm going to move some windows on here just so I can see. There we go. Good to go. January 8th, 9:46 a.m. District Court Defendant Lobby Number 1. Good morning, Mr. Wright. Good morning, Maggie. So, what do you think is going to happen today, sir? Yesterday's session didn't go so well and ended on a giant mystery. That's true. And we still haven't solved a single part of it yet. Are you okay, Nick? Yeah, of course. I saw that little flash of doubt in your eyes. No, that wasn't doubt, that was, determination. Why don't I believe you? It's nearly time, Maggie. You better get going to the defendant's seat. Roger, don't let me down, Mr. Wright. I'm counting on you. Yeah. Hey, pal! Hey, how you doing? Hey, Detective Gumshoe. Quit stressing Maggie out. She doesn't need that. How do you know she was stressed? I was watching through the doorway. That's not creepy. Oh. You look like you lost your case already. Show a bit of confidence, will you, pal? Yeah, maybe this'll help. Huh? Have you taken up aromatherapy too? Not in a million years, pal. Don't tell me that you don't remember this thing. I remember it. Come to think of it, that doesn't look like one of those aromatherapy bottles. This is the small bottle that turned up in Trey Bond's kitchen a couple days ago. Wow, look at all these little bottles. Oh, they're aromatherapy oils. He's got so many, there's overflowing under the floor. Hey, wait a minute. There's one bottle that's different from all the others. Well, what do you know? And it doesn't have a label either. And it doesn't smell. We finally got the analysis results back from the lab. So, what is it? Is it the poison? I'm afraid not, pal. Oh. Weird. It's medication. Medication? Oh, hey! That's probably the medication that was in the bag. Yeah. Yeah, for ears. Topical use only, apparently. For ears? You mean... Yeah, it's the medication Glenn Elg was using for his ruptured eardrum. What was Glenn Elg's ear medicine doing in the kitchen? Good question. What? Alright, that'll probably make sense at some point. What about the unidentified fingerprints? Anything on that? Someone screwed up, so they only had time to analyze the contents of the bottle. Another hour and they might have gotten something on the prints, but... That's gonna weaken its impact as a piece of evidence. Okay, pal. This is it. Make sure your defense is impregnable today. Got it? Today's trial. I'm gonna expose that guy for what he's done. Or my name isn't Phoenix Wright. Quite literally. Alright, January 8th, 10 o'clock a.m., District Court, Courtroom Number 4. Court is now in session for the trial of Maggie Byrne. The defense is ready, Your Honor.
Ready and waiting as always, Your Honor.
Very good. Then we'll get underway at once. Yesterday we heard the testimony of Mr. Victor Kudo. He claimed to have witnessed the defendant putting a powder into the victim's coffee. However, the witness's testimony was plagued with a number of problems.
The mark on the rim of the cup shows that the victim drank from it with his right hand. But according to the old man's testimony, he picked it up with his left hand.
Thank you, Mr. Godard. Furthermore, according to the witness's account, the victim was listening to the radio with an earpiece in his left ear. Yet the victim's left eardrum was ruptured, which makes him effectively deaf in that ear.
It's amazing how many contradictions a single case can have, huh, Nick? Drink it up, Yum Yum.
Allow me to enlighten you, Your Honor. The world, you see, keeps turning, and we must turn with it.
You've lost me already, Mr. Godard.
Don't let the mysteries of yesterday mystify you today. Only losers think like that. You gotta change with the times. That's one of my rules.
Are you implying that you've resolved these contradictions?
You know the answers to these riddles? The old guy wasn't just throwing seeds in here, he was throwing us off the scent.
Oh, really?
And today, I'll prove it.
Very well. Let the first witness take the stand.
Who might this be? Oh, aye.
And you are...
Oh, bonjour, everyone! I am Gene Armstrong, the owner and head chef of Trebon Restaurant. Enchante! That's about the response I expected.
Forgive me for asking, witness, but are you a woman?
Oh la la, monsieur! As you can see, I am le pert and perky gentleman, non?
On the day of the incident, you were in Trey Bond's kitchen. Isn't that right?
With you, monsieur? Everything feels right. I'm confused. We're gonna need more cups of that. Yeah. Wow, he's totally unfazed. Doesn't anything intimidate this guy?
Very well. Your testimony, please, witness. Please tell the court what happened the day at Trebon.
We volunteers. At Trebon. When it all happened, there were two customers in my restaurant. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day. Like having a large mirror between the tables, for example. Perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have seen everything in reverse, non? Alright, so where would he have been in that case? Mirror! Actually, I said that before. I was just like, is there some kind of a mirror around there where he's seeing a reflection? Oui, un grand mirror! La most enormous mirror. Where is said mirror?
And suddenly, the mystery disappears. Like I said, the world keeps turning, so roll with it.
That would explain the coffee cup and the earpiece conundrum. The mirror would have made everything appear back to front.
What the heck? It's way too early in the morning for this to be happening to me.
Now then, Mr. Wright, you may begin your cross-examination.
Yeah, all right. Hear a little bit more about this crap. I'm mainly interested in that mirror. It's like, ooh, okay. Okay, when it all happens, there were two customers in my restaurant. And who were the two customers exactly? Mine, of course. The young man who died. And the other, not so young man.
You are referring to yesterday's witness, I presume.
What about the other man? Maggie said she saw at the table. Something tells me Mr. Armstrong isn't planning to disclose his existence. We need some hard evidence first before we can bring him up, don't we? I guess I'll just have to try a different approach for the time being. I remember I was experimenting with some new art decors that day. You were experimenting with art decor? How come I never heard about that before today? You are not familiar with the language of interior design, monsieur? Please stay on topic. Now, why didn't you tell the court about this before? But I did, just a few moments ago.
Excuse me, Mr. Armstrong. This deco you mentioned, are you referring to some sort of deculture? What the hell?
No, Art Deco. It is a style of design, Your Honor. He's talking about interior design. Walls, ceilings, carpets, that kind of thing.
Ah, yes, of course. That deco. Well,
I was trying to achieve a more effeminate look to my restaurant. Effeminate, that's what it is. Jesus Christ. Look for my restaurant. You could tell I don't use most of these words. I was planning the most bold remodel of la decor. Like having a large mirror between la tables, for example. That seems like a privacy thing. Like, what if somebody went to... Alright, I don't know why anybody would go and make out at any of these places, but that just seems like a privacy invasion. How big of a mirror are we talking about here? Buff! Something about 4 meters wide and about 2 meters high. Let's see. The 1 meter is about 1 yard. Holy glass in a frame, that's huge! I was intending to install it on the ceiling eventually. The ceiling? Was there a mirror on the ceiling? I don't remember. Mine none, but I decided to not to go with it in the end. What should I do? Should I ask him more about the mirror or not? Yeah, sure, why not? If you really had such a large mirror in the restaurant, someone would have noticed it. But there's nothing about a mirror in Mr. Kudo or Maggie Bird's testimonies. But...
Objection!
You didn't ask, Wright. You have only yourself to blame for such sloppy work.
How would I know that there's just a random mirror there? What?
A mirror was delivered to Trebon the day before the incident.
Really?
As Mr. Armstrong testified, he was carrying out some design changes. And as it turned out, he didn't actually use the mirror in the end.
This just doesn't add up. Even if a mirror was delivered to Trebon, it doesn't prove that it was in the restaurant on the day of the crime.
If you want to doubt someone, Trent, look in the mirror. Waka waka. I'm sure the person looking back at you will be dubious enough.
So, the witness yesterday had seen the victim reflected in a mirror.
Oui, perhaps that is what the old man was looking at. Normally, I'd expect people to know the difference between a reflection and a real object.
Objection!
Normally? How does normally come into this? That's lame, Trent, even for you. Are you trying to say that if something isn't normal, it isn't possible? Is that it? Where does that leave the poor, Q-headed lawyer and the top-notch chick over there? An ungodly cool guy with a mask over here. Well, Trent?
Yeah, not the hair! I do not have a top knot.
Mr. Godot is correct. A lack of normality is no basis for discounting an argument.
Bien, logic as one la day. Yeah. A certain logic. La cup, la earpiece, and la glasses. He would have not seen seen everything in reverse, none. I mean, okay, if he would have seen everything what angle would he have been in that case? Okay, if he saw him in reverse, then he couldn't have been sitting at that side of the restaurant then. He must have been sitting at a different point in the restaurant if he managed to see the earpiece at the exact same time. Of course, it does seem like... Oh, God. We need to figure out where this mirror was. Okay. Look up, la earpiece, and the glasses. Everything? He would have seen everything in reverse? Hey, Nick, we should take a second think about what old Seedy said in his testimony. How did he phrase it again?
The boy was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You could lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt.
Okay, then. Is his left ear. So, I mean, very clearly, if it was reversed... I'm just trying to think how he would have seen it.
And then he used the same hand to pick up the cup. His left hand.
If he saw everything he described reflected in a mirror, then everything he said he saw on the left was actually on the right, huh? And that clears up all the problems with his testimony, I guess. Or does it? It's kind of hard to believe everything's the fault of a mirror, but... Do you think old CD saw everything through a reflection? If he did, it would explain all the contradictions in his testimony. But that just makes the situation worse for Maggie. There's gotta be something in that old man's testimony. We just gotta dig deeper. Right. So I'm guessing... Yeah. I'm gonna save right here. My guess is that that is what I'm supposed to be pressing. I think it might have something to do with the floor plans. Okay, because if you look at this... The old man would not have been sitting in... Yeah, he would not have been sitting, like, to the side of him. He obviously would have been sitting somewhere else inside the restaurant. Possibly the table directly next to it, like on the left. And at that point... Yeah, at that point, he wouldn't have been seeing who it was that was sitting in the other chair. That was another thing, too. Yeah. I mean, I would have to guess it would be the floor plans. Let's see. Objection! Nope. Your Honor, that statement contradicts the evidence.
It does? I don't see anything contradictory.
Really?
Objection denied. Try to think before making accusations, Mr. Wright.
Whoops. That didn't go so well. I guess he would... Well, okay. What part of that would not make a whole lot of sense? I think it would be... I mean, the earpiece on the profile, very clearly it shows that... Oh, there he is. Yeah, clearly shows that he has the eyepiece on his left eye. That would not be reversed, would it? But I don't really have anything to the contrary in here. So I guess I could just... I could present Glenn Elg's portrait here. Okay, warrant HMD over his left eye. Left eardrum was ruptured. That makes absolute perfect sense. Now, that's the one thing that's reversed. Because it would be on his right eye in that case. Everything would not have been on his left. Objection! There we go! That's right. The coffee cup, the earpiece, and the HMD. Let's think back over Mr. Kudo's testimony for a second, shall we?
The body was wearing the earpiece on the same side as the green lens of his specs. No question. You can lock me up if I'm wrong. It was his left ear, without a doubt.
So, to summarize, we were told both the HMD and the earpiece were on the victim's left side. Now, if Mr. Kudo saw all that as a reflection in the mirror, it means both the HMD and the earpiece were actually on the victim's right side. Exactement, you see, monsieur. Now that you think about it, it is not so odd, no? Unfortunately, that's where we run into a monumental contradiction with the facts. If Mr. Kudo really did see everything in a mirror, why is it that the HMD is not on the wrong side of his head?
Order! Mr. Wright is correct. If the witness genuinely observed the victim's reflected in a mirror, then we should expect the victim's eyepiece to have been over on his right eye.
Objection. How bitter. Try it, you should have a taste of this bitterness. It'll calm you down in no time.
Are we talking about your coffee or something completely different?
You don't understand the way the witness thinks.
How he thinks?
You remember this, I presume?
The I broke the vase, sorry, apology... I mean, Mr. Kudo's sworn testimony?
Exactly. The old man has one very grievous habit, other than throwing seeds. The more of an impression something makes, the more muddled his mind makes it. And what's the most striking thing about Mr. Elg?
Clearly, it's the victim's eyepiece.
And that's my point. The old man strikes again. Mr. Elg's HMD made a big impression on the old man. I saw the earpiece and those newfangled spectacles he was wearing. Oh yes, they were both on his left ear. Do you hear? His left ear. Well tried.
That's the worst but best impression of Kudo ever. Wow, I really thought he was old seedy for a minute there. Go nuts. Good.
Enough. I must agree that yesterday's witness was irresponsibly rash in much of his testimony.
Bad luck, Nick. Looks like the boil of a contradiction you found is just a rash.
A mirror can't be beaten by a handful of seeds, nor can it lie. So, what exactly was the old man looking at? Fill us in, Mr. Armstrong. Go on, tell the court. We're all ears.
Oui, I can explain. Please, if you will look at the plans of the restaurant. Okay, good. Finally, we get some info about this. Where is that thing located? Alors, is everyone sitting comfortably? La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. There is only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. That was the seat, the table next to la victim. That was where the old man was sitting. After the terrible incident occurred, I moved la mirror so it was not in the way. Yeah, but that makes another problem. But naturally, I did not touch anything else.
I see no problem with the explanation we have just heard. From the table next to the victim's, Mr. Kudo could have seen the victim in the mirror.
What a naughty little coquette I am, confusing all the men like this.
Don't worry about it. We can keep up, except for the guy breaking out in a cold sweat over there again.
I hate that guy.
You said you didn't touch anything else apart from the mirror. Are you quite sure about that?
Volunteers, of course.
Very well. Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, if you please.
Well, I have an idea of something that contradicts, but I'm just going to read this out and see what exactly I'm trying to fight here. La mirror, it was in the middle of the restaurant, dividing the two halves. So, run this by me again. The mirror was here, correct?
Oui?
Really? Because I know if I were you, I wouldn't have put a mirror there. It would be in the way.
Look who's talking, Trent.
Huh?
You're obstructing my view, among other things.
But, this is my seat in the courtroom.
Tribion's charm is that it gives you the impression that you're the only customer. Temporarily placing a mirror in that spot would hardly be in the way.
Unlike you, Trent, damn it. I tell you, monsieur, la mirror was there in the middle of the restaurant. Yeah, that was really weak. Freaking, seriously, Phoenix? There's only one seat from which you could have seen an image of la victim. And where would that be? Oh la la! Look how you lean towards me. I always attract the younger boys. Maybe I should keep you in suspense. You don't inflate yourself, mister.
Mr. Armstrong, tell the court what you know at once.
I attract the older ones too, you know. Handsome. Shall I tease you too?
What are these conflicting feelings?
I'm already seeing a very hot someone, so I'm afraid you'll be waiting for a long time.
I bet she has mocha cream skin and cappuccino perfume. Oh, that reminds me, actually. Recently, I don't really drink coffee, and just out of complete boredom, I decided to try and drink coffee recently. Yeah, I've confirmed my suspicions that I still don't like coffee. Like, not ridiculously. It needs to be caked in an absolute crap load of, like, cream and sugar. Possibly some, like, caramel or whatever the hell. Basically, I like... Yeah, I like frou-frou coffee drinks, unfortunately. I am sad. Bien, I will tell you. There was one seat from which you could have seen. That was the seat at the table next to la victim. That was where the old man was sitting. So why can you only see the victim from that particular seat? My monsieur, isn't it obvious, none? If you look at the plans, you will understand. La victim would have been reflected in la mirror like so. If you were sitting at the table next to him, you would see everything, no? So that's the seat the old seat he was sitting in that day, like on that day, when the poisoning happened. The old man was sitting at the table next to the victim. Why does that seem kind of odd? After the terrible incident occurred, I moved the mirror so it was not in the way. Did you move the mirror while Mr. Kudo was off calling the police? Oui, exactement. I carried it out of the restaurant then. You moved a huge mirror like that all by yourself? What can I say? I know how to pick things up, handsome. Godot actually laughed at something.
Well then, the witness's physique, I suppose it is possible. Did you move anything else from the crime scene, Mr. Armstrong?
I look like the oblong type, none. But naturally, I did not touch anything else. Are you sure about that? I touched nothing except la mirror.
Mr. Wright, is there something the witness has said that doesn't match the crime scene?
Yeah, there is. I just can't put my finger on what exactly.
Suffering from a case of heartburn, Wright.
Oui, I have just the thing for that. An oil with golden myrrh and frankincense.
And a few drops to your coffee, and voila, enjoy.
Focus, Phoenix. Breathe. I need to ignore those two and just find some evidence. It is pretty strange, though, isn't it? I mean, nobody mentioned anything about a really large mirror. You'd think someone would have, but Maggie didn't, and neither did old Seedy. And the only logical explanation is that there was no mirror inside Trey Beyond that day. Now I've just got to prove it. Somehow. Alright. That's my gun. You know, that's what I'm trying to gun for. Alright, okay, I'll save here. Why not? There's only one seat from which you could have seen the victim. That was the table next to the victim's. Okay, was where the old man was sitting. I mean, I don't remember if there was. Give me a second, hold on. It doesn't look like there is. Yeah, I was thinking maybe that one vase. I was trying to see if maybe there was. Oh, here. I broke the vase at my seat. I'm sorry. That might actually be it, because that's a clear indication of where it is, and I distinctly remember not seeing a broken vase anywhere on that table. So... Haha! Gotcha. Your Honor, Mr. Kudo's words yesterday strongly contradict Mr. Armstrong's testimony.
This is the letter of apology that was written by Mr. Kudo, is it not?
I realize it looks useless, Your Honor, but this is still testimony.
I guess useless people are only really good at identifying useless things.
What relevance does this crap of paper have to do with the trial, Mr. Wright?
Mr. Kudo's testimony is actually very relevant to the question at hand, Your Honor. Because it very clearly contradicts with this piece of evidence. Oh, okay. The floor plans. Well, Your Honor!
Well, I'm not sure the contradiction is as clear as you would have us believe, Mr. Wright.
Oh?
Perhaps you should reconsider before you try again.
Try again? You mean I was wrong? Why? How? My floor plans.
Gather your thoughts, Mr. Wright. In the meantime, the witness will repeat his testimony for the court.
Oui, I will be delighted. Damn it, what? Does the crime photo have anything specific in it? Hold on. Oh, yeah, there we go. This piece of evidence contradicts with the testimony we have heard, Your Honor.
The crime photo?
Yes, this photo clearly shows something that theoretically should not exist.
What on earth do you mean by that, Mr. Wright?
Should not exist. Huh. Sounds like you're describing yourself, Tret.
Now then, if the defense would please clarify its statement. What is the something that should not exist in this photo?
Herp-de-derp. There's one thing that was clearly demonstrated by yesterday's testimony. Mr. Kudo broke the vase that was on the table where he was sitting. And yet, as the court can see, there is an unbroken vase on the table next to the victim. Why? Because Mr. Kudo was not, in fact, sitting at the table next to the victim at all.
Don't be an idiot, Trat. That's impossible. The seat's the only one Kudo could have seen the victim's reflection from.
Exactly. There is only one conclusion we can draw from this contradiction. There was no mirror in Trey Bond that day. Your testimony, Mr. Armstrong, is an elaborate lie.
Mon Dieu!
Don't try to confuse the court, Trat. Obviously, the witness cleaned up the vase while the police were taking their time getting to the crime scene.
Then why is it there? Unfortunately, Mr. Godot, that doesn't quite work for me. Mr. Armstrong already testified to the contrary. In his own words, I did not touch anything else except the mirror. God. Yeah, drink down your Colombian juice.
Well, witness, what do you have to say for yourself?
I was right. There is no mirror in the restaurant that day.
In light of this revelation, we return back to the original problem. Why did the victim have an earpiece in an ear in which he couldn't hear?
You only get one shot in life. There's no turning back. If you want to claim that the mirror wasn't there, Trat, then this problem is all yours. How do you explain what the old man saw?
If I can answer this, then I'll be that much closer to the truth. I can feel it. Are you going to be okay? Can you really solve this contradiction, Nick? There's more than just this one contradiction, Maya. What do you mean? Remember what Maggie told us? There was another man at the victim's table. And there was a sample CD on the victim's table. It all flies in the face of Mr. Kudo's testimony. And I think I know the reason why nothing in this case is adding up. Do you?
Well, Mr. Wright, let's hear your answer.
Mick. I'm doing bad as it is. I'm saving at like the halfway point of my health. Yes, Your Honor. The reason behind all the contradiction in Mr. Kudo's testimony is simple. Mr. Kudo made a mistake. The ear doctor made a mistake. The victim was a phony. This is interesting. Which one would these... Okay, all right. Mr. Kudo made a mistake just seems innocuous. I'm not going to go with that. And it doesn't really make too much of a difference. I don't think. Maybe, I don't know. The ear doctor made a mistake. No. I feel like he would have picked the right ear, just being like, oh, okay, the right ear is ruptured. All right, here's a... Victim was a phony? How could the victim have been a phony? I'm picking this because I want to see where you're going with this. This case is riddled with contradictions. Yet there's one very simple answer that clears them all up.
And what is that?
The incident Mr. Kudo witnessed and the incident the victim experienced were two completely different events.
What?
Yes, the victim that Mr. Kudo saw wasn't Mr. Glenn Elg at all. It was an imposter. A phony pretending to be Mr. Elg. Obviously, unlike the victim, there was nothing wrong with the imposter's left eardrum. That's how he ended up wearing the earpiece in his left ear by mistake.
Great timing. Order in the court! Settle down or I'll clear the courtroom!
Quiet, Gramps. Why don't you clear out of here, huh?
What did you say?
Trite, are you saying that what Mr. Kudo saw was a setup?
Yes. Someone pretended to be Glenn Elg and acted out the whole coffee poisoning. All for the express purpose of creating a witness out of one Mr. Victor Kudo.
Get real, Trite. Why would anyone want to do that?
Isn't it obvious? The thing Mr. Kudo was most insistent about in his testimony was, the serving girl brought him a javaccino, but she put something in it. That's the serving girl right there, in the defendant's chair. I remember her well. It's so hard to believe, but there was one and only one reason to show Mr. Kudo this fake poisoning. To show Maggie Bird in the act of poisoning the coffee.
Are you insinuating that the waitress in the old man's story was a fake as well? It's true that there were no other customers in the restaurant at the time, but it's also true that that the chef was there. He would have noticed what was happening.
That's right. Well, witness, if your restaurant really was the scene of such theatrics, you would have known about it, correct?
Oh la la, this is most difficult for me. No, it's quite simple. All you have to do is testify. You are under oath, after all. Was there, in fact, a phony at Trey Bond that day? The defense demands that Mr. Armstrong tell the whole truth about what happened.
The defense's request for additional testimony is accepted. You will accurately explain, in detail, the events in the restaurant that day.
Oh, in the restaurant. Things are heating up. La victim, Monsieur Elg, he came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. There were no other customers. When he got word he won a lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. There was no time for a phony to do the acting.
I want a javaccino. Yes, Mario. Just so we're clear, there was no mirror in the restaurant, after all.
J'avoue, man, pardon. Forgive me, Your Honor. I lied because I wanted the mess to be cleared up quickly, you bastard. That's not how court works.
What you have just done is commit perjury, Mr. Armstrong. I will decide how to punish you later. For now, we will hear your cross-examination. Mr. Wright, if you please.
He took that perjury charge a bit too well. But I'm guessing he'll be in more serious trouble after this cross-examination.
In le restaurant.
Yeah. La victim, Monsieur Elg, came to my restaurant alone. Sounds about right. Was he alone at his table as well? I saw him from la kitchen. Yet the defendant, Miss Bird, remembers it differently. She swears there was another man at the victim's table.
Unfortunately for you, Tride. Yesterday's witness also testified that the victim was alone. You know, seeing you squirm like this reminds me of a certain coffee's bittersweet bite.
What kind of coffee has he been drinking? It's not coffee, it's love. It's love that's bittersweet. Hearing my essay, that makes her seem wise all of a sudden. I remember the old man arrived not long after him. Cool. By old man, you mean Victor Kudo, correct? Oui, he comes often for my special coffee.
I drank your coffee once, Mr. Armstrong. It's special, I'll give you that. It's worth a sip just for the experience.
Oh, you make me so happy, monsieur. You're most welcome anytime.
I said it was worth one sip, and nothing more.
So, old Mr. Kudo arrived at the restaurant around the same time as the victim. Maybe I should ask about his arrival in more detail. How many minutes after? So you're saying that not much time elapsed between when the victim and Mr. Kudo arrived? Oui, that is correct. But that still leaves the possibility that something happened in that gap of time. And by your recollection, how much time would you say elapsed? Let me see. Approximately 2 minutes, I would say. 2 minutes? That's all?
It seems unlikely that anything untoward could have happened in such a short time. Untold, rather.
Rats. I knew I shouldn't have pursued this line of questioning. Well, I mean, meh. We could try the other thing. That's what's nice. You could just keep pressing until you know all the info. Alright. What time was it? Out of curiosity, about what time was it when Mr. Kudo arrived?
Oh, no, I cannot remember, monsieur. I believe we were told by a witness yesterday. The crime was reported at 2:25 p.m. by a kind of scary old man, sir. Does that perhaps jog your memory, witness?
The incident happened about 20 minutes after he arrived. So the victim must have arrived between 2 o'clock p.m. and 2:10 p.m. Interesting. But I mean, actually, no. I mean, but the incident could have, I mean, you know, the death happened between something like 1:30 and 2:30, right? So there was a lot of extra hanging time, right? Thank you for your help in jogging my memory, monsieur. You are wonderful.
I can sit here all the time and do nothing now, can't I? Yeah. The time of day will be added to the witness's testimony.
Oui, monsieur judge. Everything I do it for you.
Merci bien. That's French, isn't it?
I'm glad at least one person is in a good mood. He's even humming a song to himself. I remember the old man arrived not long after just after 2 p.m. I feel like that's probably what I need to present to, but yeah. Let's keep pressing him. Are you absolutely sure about the time? When I think really hard, I am sure it was just after 2, oui? It is the time I stopped serving for lunch menu.
Quite right. I always break for lunch when the restaurants are serving their specials. I've been known to wind up a case early just to make you bastard.
I guess you should never get between a hungry judge and his lunch.
Oh, would you look at that? It's almost lunchtime already.
Witness, get on with your testimony, please. Zevin or other customers? Meh. So your only customers were Mr. Kudo and the victim?
Objection.
How many times do you need to ask the same thing, Trent? You never catch me drinking the same blend twice.
I mean, you might, if it's a really good blend.
You're trying to establish the presence of a phony victim in the restaurant, but you're wasting your time. You can't grind birdseed to make coffee, if you catch my drift.
But there's a hole in this testimony somewhere, I'm sure of it. When he got word he won the lottery, Mon Elg became very excited. Did you see him? None. I was in the kitchen, but I heard him. I remember him shouting, "Yes, I've $1 million!"
Presumably the defendant heard that too, then, correct?
Maggie? She looked like a poor little frightened dove. And what about Mr. Kudo? The old man choked on some birdseed that got stuck in his throat.
It seems we now have yet another incident on our hands.
Maybe. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. Pretty damn quick. And what were you doing at that point? Without any customers, you must have had time to kill. I am a multi-talented woman, monsieur. Sorry, what do you mean? There is la renowned chef Jean Armstrong and la tragic poet Clarice Armstrong.
Clarice?
Oui, I was writing a poem. An angry tale of a chef and $500,000 in debt. Cooking for a man who won $500,000 on the lottery. It is called Pourquoi. It means why. Perhaps I could recite it for the court? Please don't. None? So it's no time for a phony to do acting? You mean you contacted the police as soon as the incident occurred? I asked the old man to call from la payphone.
By your own argument, Tribes. The purpose of this phony victim's performance was so the old man would see it. In other words, once the incident occurred, this opportunity would completely disappear.
Indeed. Bien, it seems la shadow of doubt has been lifted. C'est possible. I guess Mr. Armstrong is connected to this case, huh? Absolutely. Someone was impersonating Mr. Elg, and I refuse to believe he was oblivious. He was there the whole time, after all. But if you're right, wouldn't Maggie have noticed too? She fell unconscious when the incident occurred, remember? You mean that's when the phony staged his act? We'll know for sure once I find a hole in his testimony. Alright. There's no time for a phony to do acting. If we wanted to be technical about this, if indeed there was a period between 1:30 and 2:30 where the victim could have potentially died, then if he did indeed die at around 1:30, there is absolutely and definitely a chance that they could have found somebody to do acting. Possibly. So that's kind of my first thought. Objection! Damn it. Well, at least I'm thinking things through.
I'm sorry, but I cannot see. I see nothing faulty.
Son of a bitch. Perhaps I can present something to this one. Objection! Damn him! Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement?
I'm not sure I follow you.
It clearly contradicts the... I thought...
You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied.
Oh, wait, maybe... Oh, no, I don't think this said anything about time either. Oh, wait a minute. Here, Millionaire Radio Flyer. Aha! Experience the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life every Monday at 1:30 p.m. So... Old man arrived not long after, just after 2 p.m. Which one of these things would be the right one, though? That's what it comes down to. Let's see. Came to my restaurant alone. I remember the old man arrived long after, just after 2 p.m. There were no other customers. When he got word he won the lottery, he became very excited. It was approximately 5 minutes later that the poisoning incident occurred. No time for a phony to do acting. Yeah, this, I'm going to say this, because we managed to uncover it. And then... Got it! Whew! I'm afraid I finally got you, Mr. Armstrong. We? What do you mean? At the time in question, the victim was listening to the radio with his earpiece. The show he was listening to was Millionaire Radio. Each week, they announced the winning numbers of the $500,000 lottery ticket. Oui, that must be la show Mon Elk was listening to?
I can't see any problem with this testimony, Mr. Wright.
I wonder. You say the victim arrived at your restaurant after 2 p.m., correct? Oui, I am sure of it. I remember it perfectly now. I know it was that time because I just finished serving the lunch menu.
Get to the point, Tribes, if you have one.
That show is broadcast live at 1:30 p.m. And it claims to be the most thrilling 10 minutes of your life.
It's on the air at 1:30?
Now, supposedly, the victim made some noise when it was announced that he had won. And yet, I don't believe his cry of joy could have occurred after 2 p.m. Because the show had already finished more than 30 minutes earlier by that point in time. None! This victim, we've been told about, has done nothing but the impossible. Listening to the radio with a ruptured eardrum. Catching a show that was already over. There's only one conclusion you can draw from these facts. The victim was an imposter, acting out the poisoning 30 minutes after the real murder. Yes, there were 2 Glen Elgs in Trebon that day. The real Glen Elg, now dead, having been poisoned by the real killer. And the phony Glen Elg acting out the events for Mr. Kudo to witness.
It certainly seems that way. I mean, if that wasn't the case, how could you explain the time discrepancy?
Objection.
Quite a performance, Stride. You were almost on a roll.
Meh.
But sadly, your lack of rock-hard foundation of rhythm to build your song.
What is this? Music Theory 101?
Let's recap. According to your imaginative theory, it's now just after 2 p.m. The phony elk is performing a play for the benefit of Mr. Kudo. How do you explain that? Where is the real Glen Elg?
I don't believe I have to spell this out for the court. However, at the time, the real Glen Elg was already dead.
That's certainly the obvious conclusion.
Objection.
Thank you, Trot. That's exactly what I was hoping you would say.
What?
Now, I presume you can prove this theory of yours. Can you explain where the vixen corpse went to?
I don't know. I'm gonna say things have gotten very insane. And I'm just saving, just to make sure I'm covered. The missing corpse?
According to the old man's testimony, there was only one other customer there. If that customer was the phony Glen Elg, then where did the killer hide the body of the real victim?
Yeah.
The prosecution has a valid point, Mr. Wright. If your theory is to stand up to examination by the court, you must provide us with proof by answering the prosecution's question. Where did the killer hide the body?
Yes, Your Honor.
No conjecture, Trot. Let's hear some facts for once. Show the court a piece of evidence that proves where the body was hidden.
Evidence? What's with the intense pressure in here all of a sudden? I thought I had him with that contradiction. But he's turned it all around and backed me into a corner instead.
Well, Mr. Wright, the court will now hear the defense's theory and evidence.
Here. I'm gonna save again. I know I saved it before, but we just went through a whole bunch of dialogue. And I'm pretty sure after this dialogue, because I saw the court record button appear.
First, where was the body of the real Mr. L concealed? There we go.
Well, I don't think outside Trebon would work, because that would be a hell of a thing to try and conceal it outside. I'm gonna guess it was inside. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden somewhere inside Trebon.
Interesting. But where could a body have been hidden inside a restaurant? Perhaps you would care to show the court on these plans, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. The exact location where the body was concealed inside Trebon was... Alright, now we need to do a little bit of thinking here. I mean... How long are the tablecloths for this place? That's one thing that sort of popped into my head. I mean, you could very easily hide a body in the kitchen. That's for sure, because no one's going to go back there. It'd be hilarious, though, if the tablecloths were just long enough that they covered the entire table, and you could just hide the body. Like, that'd be fun. Also, it'd be more convenient, too, because at that point, you could just take the body and immediately move him back up the chair. No lifting around inside the restaurant, anything like that. I would have to take a guess. The body was underneath the table? Maybe. Take that. The body was hidden here!
I see. Nice supposition. But the real question is, can you back it up? Where's the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location?
Oh, God! Damn it! This is a lot of work that I have to put on for this one stupid... How do I prove that it was underneath the table? Oh, no! Let me look at the crime photo real quick. Oh, shit, no. You couldn't hide it underneath the table. Never mind. I think I've already lost, so I'm just gonna go ahead and, there we go!
Too bad. I don't think you'll ever grasp the real heart of rock and roll.
What are you talking about?
He means that your evidence is irrelevant, Mr. Wright.
Yeah. Come on, Nick, you've got to think it through. Feel the beat, and then hit it with some heavy metal. Okay, I need to calm down and get my facts straight. What should I do? I'm gonna try and pick another location. There's nothing wrong with my logic so far, I'm sure of it. I'll have another go at proving where the body was hidden. It would have been too dangerous to take the body outside. Obviously, the body must have been hidden inside. Where could it be? Perhaps you could show. Yes, Your Honor. Exact location where the body was hidden is... I guess I could just say the kitchen. The body was in here.
I see.
Okay. Where is the evidence that proves the body was hidden in that location? Well, what would it be? He was chopped up and fed into the lunch special. No. Mr. Armstrong, do you recognize this bottle? Got it. No. I've never seen that ugly bottle before in my life. I only use the very best bottles, monsieur. The highest quality, only for me.
Where was that bottle found, Mr. Wright?
Interestingly enough, Your Honor, it was found in the kitchen of Tribon.
Yeah, oui.
But I only ever use these bottles for my aromatherapy oils. But this bottle doesn't contain aromatherapy oil, Mr. Armstrong. No, it contains a medication.
What kind of medication?
I'm sure everyone remembers, don't they? That Mr. Elg visited an the son of a whore. I don't know that word. Damn it, I've ruined this. Clinic and was given medication that day. You can't be serious. The defense had the contents of the bottle analyzed, and I have the lab results here. The contents of the bottle matched the prescription that was given to Mr. Elg. Glenn Elg's murderer hid the body in the restaurant kitchen. At which time, this bottle fell out of the victim's pocket. Mr. Armstrong, when the incident occurred, didn't you say you were in the kitchen?
Mon Dieu.
Yes, you know what I'm about to say. It was you who hid the victim's body. You did a fine job pretending to defend my client, Maggie Bird, however. You were setting her up to take the fall behind the poor girl's back.
None. Order! Oh, this is an extraordinary development. Witness, did you murder Mr. Glenn Elg?
Never! I could not do such an horrible thing.
What?
No!
Mr. Godot?
The bitterness. Every time I get lied to, I always down a mug of coffee. That's one of my rules.
Do you have the slightest idea how many cups you've had by now?
Then I'd like to do the same for the person who lied to me. I'd like to take them down with my empty cup. Listen up, chef. How about a brand new flavor in your ear, my H-deficit...
My H-deficient friend? What? Oh, H-deficient. Je vous demande pardon, please. You must hear me out. It is a trap. Listen to me. Por favor.
Yo hablo español, Mr. Armstrong, and por favor is Spanish.
I'm only going to ask you once. Did you do it?
None, absolutely none. I simply,
Let's hear it. You got one shot. Right, Gramps?
Witness, the court will permit you the chance to make one final statement. If you lie under oath again, Mr. Godot's coffee mug awaits you. As does my gavel.
Oui, it is clear. What do they always say in the movies? I've got a bad feeling about this.
Very well. Begin your final testimony, Mr. Armstrong.
Right. Give us some information about this, you bastard. It is true. I hid the body in the kitchen. A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. But I did not kill him. I swear. You must believe me. Finally.
You were forced? By who?
I cannot say, or I would be erased. Let's try a different question, then. When Mr. Elk died, was he really the only person at his table? There was. There was another man. Finally. I knew it. Maggie was telling the truth.
You may cross-examine the witness now, Mr. Wright.
There's just one more thing I need to do. I gotta break this guy and get him to tell us the name of the real killer. Right. You know, I find it funny that, like, when playing Phoenix Wright... Here, let's see here. When playing Phoenix Wright, it gets to the point where there's so much shady shit that, like, very clearly, my case and the person I'm representing is not immediately off the hook when it comes to certain things. This is kind of one of them. This is some really seedy shit. And very clearly, this murder happened because of somebody else now. And yet I have to try and prove the entire case and try and work it all out perfectly. Like, this is not goddamn fair. I'd like at least one of these Phoenix Wright games where I'm just off the hook straight away. Like, you know, without having understood what the actual end of the case would have been. Suppose that's not how it works, but still, seriously. Anyway, it's true I hid the body in the kitchen. Did you carry the body by yourself? Oui. I carried him. And I carried Maggie too. Maggie too? When she saw the victim collapse, she fainted. I could not leave her there.
But why did you hide the bodies?
A man forced me to do it. I had no choice. What man? Who was he? No, I cannot say. I fear for my life. He's really scared. You'll just have to put the words in his mouth, Nick. Yeah, you're right. If he won't tell me, I'll tell him.
But why would you go along with this man?
I had to go with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. And what reason would that be, Mr. Armstrong? You know, monsieur. Yes? Surely you can't expect a young maiden to talk about such an embarrassment? A maiden? You're a bit old to get away with that. And a bit too male. I can't finish the cross-examination without establishing his reason. So I'll just have to prove it, with evidence. But I did not kill him, I swear. You must believe me. Give us some info then, asshole. So you are claiming that all you did was hide the bodies, is that correct? Oui, that's right.
If we are to believe you, Mr. Armstrong, you must tell the court everything. You must make clear the identity of the man who ordered you to do this.
He's already confessed this much. Might as well stop dancing around the real issue. Yeah, but he really doesn't want to tell us who the killer is. Then suck it to him, Nick! Yeah, it's not a bad idea. Okay, so we got through all that. And I'll save just in case. Though I'm sort of petering on dead. Sort of wish these court cases, like, if you manage to find some really irrefutable proof of something, I wish you could get life back. That would be nice. Alright. I had to go along with him because there was a reason why I could not refuse. That reason being this, I assume. Jean's debt is $500,000. The owner of the loan is tender lender.
Objection!
Yep. You have a $500,000 debt, don't you?
$500,000! Is this true, Mr. Armstrong?
Oui. Je suis désolé. I was weak, and I borrowed the money. This is Mr. Armstrong's Achilles heel. And that's why you couldn't refuse anything asked of you by this man. A $500,000 loan from a black market loan shark. And you had no way of paying it back, did you? That's why you were forced to do anything this man told you. Oui. It is as you say. Mr. Armstrong. Le Tiger, he told me he was going to use my restaurant for a business rendezvous. On the day in question, he was meeting the victim to demand that he repay his loan. I don't know why it happened like that. I just did what he told me to do. I had no choice. I carried the body and the unconscious Maggie out of the dining area and into the kitchen. After that, I just tried to forget what I had seen. I think we can now safely say that the man who forced your hand was Mr. Furio Tiger.
I do have one further question for you, Mr. Armstrong. The poison and the lottery ticket that were found in the defendant's apron pocket. Was that your doing as well?
None! I knew nothing about that. Making it look like it was Maggie who had done it. I was not. It is despicable.
Mr. Godot, you will summon this Furio Tiger as a witness. I doubt that can be arranged today, so we will adjourn for now. Proceedings will continue tomorrow.
Crafty bastard, come on.
30 minutes.
What?
The trial will go on. I'll see to it myself. I need half an hour to get that guy on the stand. Not a minute more.
How the...
Don't sit back and relax yet, Trad. No one knows if that chef is really telling the truth or not. This trial could still go either way.
Very well. Your request is granted, Mr. Godot. We will resume once Mr. Tiger is ready to take the stand. Until then, court is adjourned for a 30-minute recess.
To be continued. Okay. Whew. Well, I'm going to go ahead and just dive into the next piece of the chapter, I guess. And we'll see how long it takes for us to break this tiger man. So we're finally going to see the tiger on the stand. We've almost got this case won now, Nick. I wish I could agree. Huh? When I cross-examined Mr. Armstrong just now, he said he was just doing what the tiger told him to do. But Godot picked up on it, remember? He pointed out that without proof, we don't know if what he testified is the truth. You mean you think Mr. Armstrong was lying? I don't know. But if that's the line the prosecution takes, we could be in trouble. I get the feeling that we don't have the case-making evidence we're going to need. Hey, Paul! Hey, buddy. You have some evidence for me? Detective Gumshoe! What are you so jumpy about, Detective? Your hair's standing on end.
Hey, that's not the pot called the kettle black, little Miss Top Knot.
It's not a top knot! Never mind about the hair. Just calm down, all right?
I can't stand still when I don't have a job to do. I kind of get wound up.
Good. No kidding.
You gotta have something you need me to do, pal. Anything.
Well,
Hey, I'm gonna take a job back down to the precinct. I can get some prints analyzed for you if you've got an hour.
An hour? The trial will have reconvened by then. But Nick, we still don't have a really decisive piece of evidence, right? True. Without some kind of trump card to pull out of the bag, we're really stuck. You said you could get some fingerprints analysis done in an hour?
You bet.
In that case, would you mind checking for prints on this for me? Okay. Prints on something. I wonder... Okay, what should I be handing off to? Shit. I kind of want to say the small bottle since we've already hinted at the idea. Well, no. Okay, no, technically speaking. In theory, if what we're thinking is true, the small bottle fell out of his pocket when he was brought into the kitchen. Nobody would have handled it. So I don't know if that would be a good thing to be handing off. The MC Bomber CD might just have a good set of fingerprints on it. I'm thinking like far ahead into the future. Potassium cyanide, deadly powdery poison. Bears Maggie's okay, so this was already checked for fingerprints. So that's fine. Honestly, yeah, I kind of want to say computer virus made by Glenn Elg, potentially worth millions of dollars. We have not checked for fingerprints on this thing. And potentially we could prove that he did in fact hold onto it. Not entirely sure what exactly that would prove. Fingerprints are on that thing. The lunch special? No. Yeah, honestly, I kind of want to see if maybe the MC Bomber CD has some fingerprints that would point us into some kind of direction. What are you doing, Nick? Detective Gumshoe's gonna check some fingerprints for us. Shouldn't he be checking this?
That's the small bottle I gave back to you this morning, right?
The victim's ear medication that we found in the kitchen? Look, it even says covered in unidentified fingerprints right in the court record.
You're right, actually. That's been gnawing at me, too.
So you look into it for us? Awesome. What about the thing I asked you to run a check on?
Oh, that. Sure. I'll see what I can do if I got any spare time.
Spare time? I feel so unimportant right now. Small bottle given to Detective Gumshoe. Oh. So I'm guessing I was wrong, and the game's just throwing me a bone. Being like, nope, you didn't think about it right.
Okay, I'll get this off to the lab right away. Just make sure you don't lose the case before I get back.
Fine. This is pretty much the final showdown, I guess. It's time to separate the phonies from the real guys. Damn it. I thought I was on a roll with that one. I'm trying to think, constructively with it. I guess the bottle does have more importance than I thought.
Court will now reconvene. Mr. Godot, did you find the Furio Tiger Burger?
I haven't tamed him for you. It was a 3-cup job, no problem.
Tamed him? The guy's name may be Furio Tiger, but come on.
He's pretty lively. Be careful, he still bites.
Very well. Please, show Mr. Tiger to the stand.
You little slime ball.
Witness, please, stay down!
Yeah. Ah! And now she's under the desk. Don't hide under the table, Maya. Unless there's room for me down there, too.
Would you mind?
What'd you say to me?
No, nothing. I didn't say nothing, honestly.
Who could have guessed that fear would induce a bad Brooklyn accent in the judge?
I got business to take care of, you hear me?
So who the hell called me into this hole? Was it you, Spiky? No, of course not. It was the judge. The judge, no, come back.
Your Honor. Oh dear, I seem to have dropped my pen. Oh, where on earth is it? Don't mind me. Just carry on with the proceedings. Yeah, that's normal.
That's it. We're doomed.
Maybe you didn't hear me. I said, who the hell was it that called me in here? There's no need to shout. We can all hear you.
What'd you say?
There's no point struggling. You're caught in a snare. The relentless snare of the law. And I'm the one that hauled you in. Yeah.
Too cool. Don't let him get the better of you, Nick.
Let's start with the basics. You know about the incident in question, correct?
Incident? I know nothing about no stinking incident, masked boy.
You mean you didn't attend the previous trial of Maggie Bird?
Maggie who? I got more important things to do than watch courtroom dramas.
Oh, of course. Well, perhaps you could give us your testimony then. Please tell us about what you did on the day of the murder.
Phoenix Wright. You's the one who set this up, didn't you? You's gonna regret the day you ruffled the tiger's fur. You hear what I'm saying?
Gulp. Maybe I should have brought a diaper with me today. Get a grip, Nick. Okay, the tiger's alibi.
I don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with the business in December last year. Spent all my time in my office. I got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tenderlander every single day. You want to check my alibi? Just ask Violetta.
Ah, at last I found my pen. Very well then, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination... What is it? Please, witness, if you would refrain from shouting out like that.
I know the kind of games that guy in the blue plays. That lowlife ain't no lawyer. He just punches away at stupid details till he wins.
Lowlife? Hey.
Listen up, Smarty. Every time you ask me something that doesn't relate to this case, I'm gonna bill you $50,000, and you's gonna borrow the cash from me.
Well, you know, I don't think you can actually force that legally. As well as also, you know, if you're thrown in jail, it doesn't matter. That's one loan contract I refuse to sign.
I don't think it ain't gonna hurt when you tangle with the tiger.
Hell of a good spectator sport.
Just a minute. That's really not...
This witness is, how can I put it, a hungry tiger roaming the urban jungle. Get on his bad side, and he'll bite everyone's heads off. Yours too.
Very well. I have no choice but to impose a penalty system here.
You better be listening. I said I got business to take care of, big business. Yeah. If I don't split now, I ain't gonna catch my bus.
The court will impose a penalty for any irrelevant pressing of witness testimony. Keep that in mind as you begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor. You can do it, Nick. Come out from under there already, would you, Maya? Great. So I can't press on everything, eh? Right, I'm going to go ahead and save. And we're going to be very specific about what we search for here. I don't know nothing about no murder. That doesn't seem too factual. I mean, yeah, we don't know. We don't know if he knows or he doesn't know. I was tied up with business in December last year. Spent all my time in the office. We could press and ask what kind of business, where it is, but I feel like they're not going to be giving me a whole lot of... I don't know. He's probably not going to give a whole lot of info. Got whales lined up to borrow cash from Tenderlander every single day. If you want to check my alibi, just ask Violetta. That's probably substantial. I'm going to start out with the Violetta thing. By Violetta, you're talking about the Cadaverini family's...
Yeah. You don't want to cross them, or you're gonna wind up sleeping with the fishes. Once the Godfather finds out you've been dragging Violetta through the mud, he'll do you in.
Sorry, I couldn't quite put it all together towards the end there. He said that just like Viola, didn't he? I get the feeling this might not be the right time to probe about her. Fuck it! Mr. Tiger, what yous want? If you wouldn't mind going into a bit more detail.
This is a dead end, Trad, and you know it. Remember the rules.
Pressing the witness without evidence to back up your attitude is prohibited. As I said earlier, the court will impose a penalty for such shit. Damn it.
Ouch! The pain!
Now then, Mr. Tiger, would you mind repeating your testimony from the beginning, please?
My time ain't free here. You better remember that. If I miss the bus, someone's gonna pay.
Don't know nothing about no murder. I was tied up with business in December. Got whales lined up to borrow cash from tender level. Okay, whales? What? So I take it you get a lot of customers at your black market loan office?
It's tough for the little guy these days. Small businesses ain't feeling the pinch. Bosses of companies like that want to get in the good with me. I'm dear best friend. Damn best friend, man.
Jesus, your accent is confusing the hell out of me.
I see. That's very admirable of you.
I don't know. It's black market.
Yeah, well, Tender Letter's motto is win through compromise, you know.
Win through compromise. What is that supposed to mean?
Compromise the customer to win. That's what it means. You've got it.
With best friends like you who needs enemies.
Here, let me spell it out for you all. You don't pay me back within 3 days, Spiky. I take what's due, and you stupid hair. You follow what I'm saying?
But I'm not one of your customers. Should I ask more about Tender Lender or not? I'm gonna leave it for now. It's too dangerous to press things without knowing where they might end up. I better just focus on gathering more information at the moment here.
Mr. Tiger, would you mind repeating your testimony?
Wow. Business in December. Well, some info about that. Are you sure about that? We're talking about 1 month ago, you know.
You see these teeth? That's how sharp my secretary is.
Sharp? Is he talking about Viola Cadaverini?
She writes everything in my scheduler. December. Mainly in the office. That's what it says, so that's where I was.
That seems like a rather, sketchy schedule.
There he goes again. What the Tiger did all the December isn't the issue. What's important is what he was doing on the day of the murder. You know what? That is a very valid thing. Yeah. Yeah. It's because... Thing is, nothing about what's happened in all of December. We want some specifics about the day. Not giving me some good information about this.
Mr. Tiger, what you want?
God damn it. Okay, so I guess no. Dead end? It's not a dead end. No, it's essential that we establish the witness's alibi accurately.
I agree!
The victim was killed on December 3rd. Were you in the office that day, too?
Maybe you ain't listening. Of course I was. I never set foot outside. I had meetings all day with a bunch of cats wanting to do business with me. I ain't never seen the young kid before.
I do believe the witness's last statement was important. Mr. Godo, if you would please.
Mr. Tiger, the court asks to add that last statement to your testimony.
Don't let an animal beat you. Be a man, Your Honor, and ask him yourself.
The day you was talking about, I was in the office too. Never saw that kid before.
I think that's it, but... I'm gonna press and see if there's anything else involved with this. Oh wait, I might waste a lot of my my health that way though. I don't have a lot of health left, man. All right. The day he's talking about, I was in the office too. Never saw that kid before. Okay, is there anything that proves that he did see him? I guess I could press this first. You didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg? Really?
I don't mess with the guppies when they're bigger fish to fry. What do you say, boss?
Who? Me?
I was about to hit you with a fat $200,000.
Well, I was thinking about purchasing a nice car from Europe.
He's seriously considering this? Wow, the Tiger's a really good salesman, huh? Yeah, if I want to sell this case, I need to copy him. How about you hit him with a fat piece of evidence, boss? I wish it was that easy. It might be that easy. Alright, never saw the kid before. You gotta prove that you did indeed see him. So, how do I prove that? Oh yeah, Glenn's calendar. Yeah. That one's easy. Mr. Tiger, you claimed you didn't know Mr. Glenn Elg, but it appears that Mr. Elg knew you.
What?
Mr. Elg left this little note on his calendar. Meet with the Tiger. And the date. December 3rd.
December 3rd? That's the day of the murder.
So, Mr. Tiger, I submit that you did indeed know one Mr. Glenn Elg. Because of the very day of the incident, you met with him. Uh-huh. Oh, why you sudden all... Okay, there we go.
Not bad. You's actually not bad.
Sorry.
I was just messing with you. See how good you were.
Did you hear that, Nick? He said you're not bad. He lied under oath. Someone wake up. That's one compliment I can do without. Plus he's lying through his teeth.
Witness, please, remember that you're under oath. Exactly. Lies will not be tolerated.
You's calling me a liar? Is that what you're doing?
Ruh-roh.
So you're saying that you claim to have never seen that kid before is the truth?
I said I'm dead serious. You better believe that's the truth.
Then I'd say that gives me time to enjoy another cup of pure black magic. That is, while you testify for the court again, Mr. Tiger.
Oh, just, would you mind indulging the court, witness?
You never actually met the victim? That's gotta be a lie right there. It's time I nailed this guy. Creep. The victim! Meh.
I ain't no liar. I never met Glenn Elg. There was some lame guy with the name, though, wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office 10 days later. I waited around for him, but he ain't never showed. I ain't never even been to that Trey Bond joint, you hear?
And I suppose I need to be careful about how I press him here, too.
I see. It all seems perfectly logical.
Hello, Jeff.
You had arranged to meet with the victim, but he didn't show up.
I've heard it's pretty hard to keep appointments when you're dead.
Very well. You may begin your cross-examination, Mr. Wright.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't I tell you I got big deal going down? Oh, no, wrong voice. Didn't I tell you I got big deal? I'm getting all messed up. I'm gonna make my bus now. I'm gonna have to take the express train. That bill's going straight to you, right?
Yeah. All right. Time to start pressing, but first, save whatever little health I have left. Yep. Okay. So what would be good things to press here? I mean, from what I can tell... Okay, I ain't no liar. Never met Glenn Elg. There was some lame guy with a name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. Hello, Mark. That's very strange. According to the manager of the firm where the victim worked, December 3rd was the date he had to repay his loan. He wasn't due to discuss borrowing money, but repaying what he owed.
Oh, yeah, maybe he's right. Whatever was going down at the beginning of December.
So you did meet Mr. Elg, then?
Hey, Wright, you might want to cool your jets just a sec. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office 10 days later.
Whatever. I'll press that. So your meeting wasn't supposed to be at Trey Bond, then?
Why do I want to go to a dump like that? If I want to talk to my clients, I got an office decked out for the job. I got the best punching bag you ever saw in there.
Not exactly a professional office you got there, do you know? So you were in your office on the day in question. Okay. I waited around for him, but he ain't ever showed. Why not? He didn't show up?
What do you think, Tride? Let's see. How does a dead man get from a French restaurant to a loan shark office?
And you yourself didn't go to Trey Bond?
What are you trying to pin me here?
Am I playing this on the DS? Yeah, I'm playing this on 3DS.
Why don't you just come down to my office? We could chat about this thing my way, yeah. I got the best punching bag you ever saw in there.
You already told me that.
No need. I'm good, thanks. Listen up, I ain't got nothing more to say except this. I ain't never been in that trade bond joint. You's here?
Never? Not even once?
Not even once. I was in my office that day that went down. I didn't put no poison in no kid's coffee, capiche?
How do you know about the poison? Do you think you really didn't meet Glen Elg? Not likely. Because I'm convinced this guy's behind the whole thing. So you mean that whole testimony he just gave was a lie? Of course. So we can't afford to give him time to think of ways to plug the leaks in it. I've got to nail him while I still can. Alright. Well, what pieces of evidence do we got here? I ain't no liar. Never met Glen Elg. There was some lame guy with the name, though. Wanted to borrow cash from me. I set up a meeting with the guy at my office tender lender. I waited around for him, but he never even ever showed. I never even been to that Trey Bond joint is here. That seems extracurricular. I want to see if maybe there's proof of that. What would prove that he has indeed been there? They all die at the end. Meh. The fact that there are more Phoenix Wright games coming out, I'm taking a guess and saying that that's not the case. Oh, no, wait. Are you talking about, like, all the victims die at the end? That is actually true. All right. I mean, we found the MC Bomber disc at... Yeah, we found the MC Bomber disc at the Trey Bond. Or no. Clearly it was there. It was noted in testimony that the MC Bomber disc was there. And somehow it managed to make its way over to his place.
Objection!
Oh, shit.
Your Honor, what do you think about the witness's statement? I'm not sure I follow you. It clearly contradicts the... You don't sound very sure, Mr. Wright. Objection denied.
Crap. The prescription, I don't think that would be it. Gumshoe's lunchbox, I still have one. A paper bet, no. Oh, what the fuck? Hold on a sec. I ain't never even been to that Trey Bond joint is here. What about these matches I found in your office?
Objection!
Mr. Tiger, is there something you'd like to tell the court about these matches?
Matches? What you talking about?
We found them in your office at Tender Lender. They're from that restaurant.
Would it...
If you've really never been to Trey Bond before, what was a book of restaurants matches doing at your desk?
You've been snooping around my stuff now, too? Wise guy. What are you, my ball and chain? Ain't no broad controlling me.
Nice red suit.
Order, order. Well, witness, I think it's time you started telling us the truth, don't you? I'm sorry. I'm terribly sorry. Forgive me.
I ain't no pussycat. I don't go back on what I said. But okay, I was at the joint that day.
What?
But listen good, all right? I might have been there, but I still never met that kid.
Well. Looks like an order just came in for another testimony.
Hooray! I'm this close to proving it was him. He did meet Glen Elg that day. And he did put poison in his coffee. He must have. Alright.
I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office.
I see. You didn't actually meet with him in the end, then. Well, Mr. Wright, your cross-examination, please.
Yes, Your Honor.
Hold it! If I wait around here any longer, I ain't even gonna make the Normal Express. No more stupid questions.
No problem. Anytime Tribe presses you on something irrelevant, I'll see he pays a penalty.
Mr. Godot, that's my job.
Your job is to slam that little hammer of yours and call a guilty verdict. So do it.
Yes, sir.
Friggin' wuss.
Special Express ain't cheap, right? Just so yous know, since yous paying.
Oh, man. Doesn't the rule of law mean anything around here?
Nope. We're in Bizarro land. Up is down, left is right.
And I'm stuck looking at an opposite version of me, I guess. God, I need water. All these angry, gruff voices are destroying my throat. But hey, whatever. We're so close. Okay. I was supposed to meet with the kid at the restaurant that afternoon. When I opened the door to the joint, I saw one ugly scene. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split. I heard the cop sirens on my way out, and I went straight back to my office. Mario says, I love the absurdities of this case. How everyone was fooled by Furio just because of the hair. I know. You know, it's not like he has a tan that quite literally makes him orange. Like, he's about the shade skin as the one guy on Scrubs that was drinking all that tomato juice. It's like, how do you get that? Jesus. Alright. If I press and it hurts, so be it. I've saved. So the meeting wasn't due to take place at Tender Lender at all, then?
The kid was making a fuss about coming into the office. It's always that way when I want to talk about repayments. Even though I got the best punching bag you ever seen, if there are any issues.
Maybe it's because of the punching bag that people are scared to come. So that's why you decided to meet at Trey Bond.
Objection.
What?
You're going over old ground again, Tride.
Sorry.
You just earned yourself a penalty. Now suck it down.
You will suck down the penalty, Mr. Wright, and you will like it.
I've saved. Sucks. You know what? Give more detail about the scene you saw. An ugly scene. What do you mean?
Objection.
The witness has already told us, Tride, which makes that question irrelevant.
But...
I limit myself to 17 cups of coffee during a trial. That's the rule. You better limit the number of times you take a penalty, Tride. Or your guts will look like the inside of a chimney, Ashton.
Don't make me burn you again, Mr. Wright.
Yeah, okay, wow. Again, we're kind of at the hair trigger, I could be guilty about anything situation. The guy was laid out over the table, stiff as concrete. There's no point in pushing this, is there? There might be. That's the problem. It might be relevant. You mean you saw Glenn Elk's dead body?
I guess I did, but I only saw him from behind. He was wearing some raggy bit of cloth they called a hat.
And what time was this?
I don't know.
Huh?
You know what winds me up more than anything else in the world? Watches. Round watches. I ain't gonna pollute my paws with some ticking hen pecker.
Out of interest, Mr. Tiger, what winds you up the second most?
What you think? Square watches!
Are there square watches? Is this guy for... Oh, actually, wait. There could be digital watches.
Ow.
Look, all I need to know was that something bad was going down in that place.
All right.
I figured if the place wasn't hot already, it was gonna be, so I split.
So you didn't actually set foot inside the restaurant then?
The Tiger's a busy cat. I don't hang around for no one. I ain't got the time to be caught up in no murder investigation.
So, when exactly did you pick up the matches?
Their match is just inside the front door. Our detective friend would wound up in trouble with the chef after taking $5 home.
Third most triangle watches. I'm trying to remember. Does that exist? I'm gonna have to look that up sometime later. Hexagons, star shapes. Poor Gumshoe. It's almost enough to make a man cry.
I had the cops siren on my way out, and I went straight back to my office.
You went straight back? Did a bout of guilt suddenly hit you for what you did? It's not relevant, Phoenix.
What you trying to say? You trying to tell me yous ain't never been guilty of nothing?
We all have our crosses to bear. We all have to swallow the dark secrets we hide.
Like this?
The courtroom's not exactly the place to talk about dark secrets, is it?
It seems you've done it again, Mr. Wright. Another irrelevant line of questioning. I must impose a penalty. Shit.
I'm trying. Whatever. I like dialogue. I opened the door, saw the ugly scene. The guy was laid out at the table, stiff as concrete. I think he would be able to see him from the... No, you wouldn't have. When you opened the door to the joint, you saw some ugly scene. Well, the door is on the top right there, opening up that way, and there's a wall directly there. No, you would not have seen him. Yeah. That's my guess. Ha! Yeah, you wouldn't have seen him, you bastard. You're something of a loan-collecting pro, aren't you, Mr. Tiger?
No one escapes the tiger's clutches.
Well, I'm something of a lie-detecting pro. And no one escapes the Phoenix's clutches. I think it's time we got something straight.
What's this, Trad? A new line of irrelevant questioning?
These are the floor plans of the crime scene. You say you were standing at the entrance, Mr. Tiger. From there, your field of vision would have covered an area something like this.
Indeed, the witness would have had a clear view of the victim's seat.
Isn't that what I just said? I saw the back of the kid's head.
Unfortunately for you, that is not possible. If the court would think back, you'll remember that between each of the tables is a tall partition.
Why, that's true.
Now look at the plans again. The truth is painfully obvious. From the entrance, the field of vision of any customer walking in ends here. So, from the entrance of Troy Bond, you couldn't have seen the victim's seat. But you did see the victim that day, because you met with him!
Wrong. Have you forgotten the old man's testimony yesterday? The victim was alone at his table.
But the defense just proved that point to be moot. The victim witnessed by Mr. Kudo was not Glenn Elg, but a fake.
What?
In order to have Mr. Kudo falsely testify, the real killer posed as the victim he had just killed and acted out a charade.
That will do. This trial has gone on long enough without the obvious question being answered. Who exactly was this real killer who impersonated the victim? You say the killer murdered Glenn Elg, and then impersonated his victim in a performance for Mr. Kudo. In that case, Mr. Wright, reveal the identity of this criminal to the court.
Well, we know what we're gunning for. He must have put on a hell of a lot of powder. The killer is Furio Tiger. No one else could have done it.
What? Well, witness...
Now that's cute. You think you can pin this on the tiger? Maybe you don't understand that the tiger is king of the jungle.
So I dare you to say it again. Come on, you's got the guts.
You can't threaten me, Mr. Tiger. It's the defense. Go ahead and tell the witness, Mr. Wright.
Mr. Wright!
Sounds to me like it must be you, old man. You's got guts. I'll give you that.
Mr. Wright, do not leave me handle this alone.
Perhaps I can end this embarrassment.
Mr. Godot.
Let's just go back over Mr. Kudo's testimony one more time. The old man didn't see just the victim. Oh, no.
The serving girl brought him a javaccino, but she put something in it. There's no question about it. She's very conspicuously put some white powder in there.
Was the victim he saw the real victim or not? That doesn't matter. The fact remains, he saw the accused put the poison into the coffee.
Yes, it was the waitress who... Very impressive, Mr. Godot.
Waiting for my absence to launch your attack.
Found your pen at last, Tribulations.
It was in my pocket. But anyway, Mr. Kudo witnessed two people that day. He saw the victim, the supposed Mr. Glenn Elg, and the waitress from behind.
Yes, your point, Mr. Wright.
I think the conclusion is obvious. If this Glenn Elg was really the killer in disguise, then surely it's possible the waitress was also part of the show.
What? You mean the waitress was an imposter as well?
The defendant, Miss Bird, fell unconscious immediately after the incident. And someone used her fainting to hatch an elaborate plan to pin the murder on her.
What on earth was it? Who was this waitress that Mr. Kudo witnessed?
I've had a feeling I've known all this time for a very, very long period of time.
Who is this woman?
Her name is Viola Cadaverini. She's an employee of Tender Lender.
You's making a big mistake.
Do you know who Violetta's grandfather is?
You better be going home in an armored truck tonight if you know what I mean.
Stop shaking, Nick! Where was I? Yes, the defendant, Miss Bird, has stated the following. Well, when I took the coffee over to the victim's table, it's true there was another customer in the restaurant. She was sort of creepy, and she had a kind of cackling laugh.
Yeah.
There are just too many contradictions in this case. The second man at the victim's table, who nobody but Miss Bird seems to have seen. The earpiece worn by the victim in his left ear when the eardrum was ruptured. And the radio show he was supposedly listening to half an hour after it was over. There is only one logical explanation that clears up all these contradictions. The whole incident took place twice, one for real and once for show. And Mr. Furio Tiger, the only person who could have committed the crime, is you!
Witness, what have you got to say?
That's cute.
Sorry?
He's alright. I could do with a guy like you around.
What do you mean?
Okay, I'm in on this game. I'm gonna have to charter a jet to get me to my meeting now, but I'm gonna give you one more thing to think about before I go.
It's something to think about?
You've got it all wrapped up nice, alright? But you've missed out one really important thing.
But that can't be!
I was in the joint that day, and I met the kid too. But I couldn't have poisoned him, you hear?
What? Do you really expect us to believe you now, Mr. Tiger?
What a troublemaker.
Troublemaker?
Looks like we're going to need another one for the road. One more steaming cup of hot testimony.
Yep. Indeed. Witness, you will explain yourself to the court. I will give you one more chance to testify. What happened that day at Trebon between yourself and the victim?
I don't like that picture of him. Just the sleazy tongue out.
Yeah, I loaned Il Cash about $100,000. That day, we was due to have a little chat. The kid had hit his payback date, see? So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming. Yes, I won $500,000. He got lucky, you know, real lucky. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would have been over.
Now, I see that the principal amount you loaned to Mr. Elg was $50,000.
Yeah, well, you's got the VIG to take into account. Interest builds up fast, you know.
Bastard! That's faster than fast. $100,000 is twice his principal.
And the repayment deadline was December 3rd, the day of the incident in question.
Yeah, he was one lucky kid. He got that $500,000 just in time. So I ain't have no reason to kill the kid. And if I ain't got no motive, you ain't got no case.
His motive. He has to have one, but what is it? We all know what the motive is. I loaned Elg about $100,000. Day. All right, let's try and hold on a sec. We got really far. Let's save. For protection's sake. Okay. The day we was due to have a little chat. Kid had to hit his payback. All right. Let's just try and push. If we fail, we fail. Did he have any way of paying the loan back?
The fool was a gambler. He said he couldn't give it up till he landed a big win. So I agreed to help him.
Help him? You?
I kept hitting him with ideas for ways he could get a big win. But the guy kept losing.
So you were helping him for his sake or yours?
Win through compromise. Yous help me, I help yous. What's the difference, huh?
I don't believe this. Nick, would anyone really ever loan money to someone they thought was unreliable? Like, for example, if it were you, I'd only loan you $5 max. Thanks a lot, Maya. Oh, by the way, that's real nice coming from you, who I think I've paid basically everything for.
That day was due to have a little chat. Kids had hit his payback check. So.
Okay, whatever. So how much were you expecting him to pay you back on that day?
What do you think? The whole package, $100,000, including interest.
That's a real heavyweight punch.
Once a client misses a repayment, you call the whole roll in. You want to make it my you want to make it in my world? That's all you got to know.
And how many times had Mr. Elg been late with his repayments?
Once.
And how much was he supposed to pay back every month?
$50.
Sounds like Mr. Elg was in a real sticky spot. Yeah, at $50 a month, he'd never pay that huge loan off.
So anyway, he tells me he's got no way to pay up.
How much did he have left on his debt?
Yeah, he's one of them round figures. About $100,000.
That's the whole amount!
We're talking about a guy who had 58 cents in his wallet.
What? You telling me he wasn't even going to pay for the coffee?
He certainly seems to have been a brave man, this Mr. Elg.
That guy was smooth, I tell you. Real smooth. You'll have your money in less than 5 minutes. That's what he said to me. The guy then calls me the tender tiger. He was skating on thin ice with me. I'm about to flatten the guy when he starts screaming.
Was that because the
guy won the lottery? Was his last chance at a big win.
And you can confirm that this is the ticket in question?
That's it.
The Millionaire Radio Show starts at 1:30 p.m. and runs for 10 minutes. That fixes the time you two met with some accuracy.
And the whole scene was acted out again 30 minutes later. Also that Mr. Kudo would see it.
I can still see the kid's face now. I ain't never gonna forget it. Yes, I won $500,000. You got lucky, you know, real lucky.
Was there anyone else in the restaurant at the time?
I don't remember.
If there was no one there, I'll wear that ridiculous tiger shirt for a month. Mr. Armstrong, Maggie Bird, and if I'm right, Viola Cadaverini were all there at the time.
So the victim had intended to repay you from his lottery winnings from the beginning?
Seems that way to me.
But you wouldn't normally expect to win the lottery, would you?
The undying belief that your next roll will end the worst losing streak you ever had. That's what defines a true gambler.
He makes it sound so cool. Don't be tempted, Nick. You haven't got the willpower for it.
All I know is the kid took a shot and he got lucky in the end. If that waitress hadn't done what she'd done, everything would be over.
The waitress? You mean...
The girl with the glasses in the defendant's chair. Who else could it be? If she hadn't gotten in the way, things would have been bada bing, bada boom, over and done with.
Maybe I should push a little on this. How things would have been? What do you mean things would have been over and done with?
I used all there. What? I'm talking about the cash. I was there to get my $100,000 bucks back, but the 100,000 butts. That's a lot of butts. That's all. I'm a businessman. It was all coming together before that waitress got in the way.
As far as I can tell from the witness's testimony, other than recouping his loan, Mr. Tiger had no motive for killing the victim. Witness, you will amend your testimony to reflect what you just said.
Tiger's motive, huh?
I was after that $100,000. I didn't have no other reason to kill the guy.
Mm-hmm. A $1 million bill for cranial surgery. Payment was due last year. Objection! So you just intended to get back the $100,000 Mr. Elg owed you, correct?
I loaned the guy the cash, so that's my right.
Unfortunately for Mr. Elg, $100,000 wasn't enough to cover it, was it?
Yeah.
About 6 months ago, you were involved in a traffic accident, weren't you? An accident involving a car and a scooter in which a young woman was injured. She was taken to the hospital where she underwent surgery.
Where'd you get all this info?
These medical papers document the treatment of the young woman in question. According to these, her operation cost $1 million. Payment for these expenses was due in December of last year, and it was paid in full.
$1 million! A preposterous sum. Someone should sue those HMOs.
No one would pay a bill like that. If the medical association got wind of it, the hospital would end up as dead as a morgue.
But Mr. Tiger had no choice but to pay, because his very life depended on it.
There. Order! You say his life depended on it, Mr. Wright?
Indeed it did, simply because the injured woman was none other than Viola Cadaverini.
Did you just say Cadaverini?
Bruto Cadaverini, mob boss in charge of all underworld activities in the city, and doting grandfather to his precious Violetta, also known as Viola Cadaverini. Your life was in danger unless you paid compensation to the boss, correct? It makes sense. You were desperate to acquire that $1 million Cadaverini demanded of you. So desperate, in fact, that you decided to sacrifice Glenn Elg's life to pay your debt.
Order! What do you say to that, witness?
It's a nice little fairy tale, Trad. But even if the witness did need $1 million, that doesn't tie him to Mr. Elg's murder. Mr. Elg only owed him $100,000 and had no hope of repaying it anyway.
Yeah, the guy wasn't worth my spit.
I don't think so. In fact, the opposite is true.
The opposite?
Lending money with no hope of ever seeing repayment would normally be bad for business. But in this case, the very fact that Glenn Elg had no way to repay the money is crucial.
What?
Do you know where you're going with this, Nick? You've got to think outside the box, Maya. Outside the box? It's very straightforward. Mr. Tiger wasn't after the $100,000 at all.
It seems you have a logical conclusion for this theory, Mr. Wright. Would you care to share with us? What exactly was Mr. Tiger after?
Pretty obvious.
But what is the meaning of this, Mr. Wright?
It's evidence that Trent has no idea what he's doing.
What? What? What do you mean?
You're way off track, Trent.
That evidence is irrelevant? But he wanted to... Wow, there's something even more deep-seated than... Oh, shit. Damn it, I completely and totally forgot. Damn! I forgot about MC Bomber. What? How did I do that? Shit! MC Bomber. Glenn Elg was a programmer. A highly skilled programmer. That skill was the collateral Mr. Elg put up in order to borrow the money.
Care to explain how skill can be used as a collateral to secure a loan, Trent?
He had the skill to create a computer virus, and so he did. A virus known as MC Bomber.
A computer virus? What does one of those do?
A computer virus is a program that wreaks havoc on the insides of a computer.
A computer. What does one of those do? Are you a caveman?
I guess the beard isn't the only part of his honor that is from the stone. Exactly. Jesus. I'll explain it to you later, Your Honor. Right now, this is the important point. A virus like MC Bomber would be worth several $1 million on the black market. Mr. Tiger, you couldn't have cared less about the $100,000. Isn't that right? All you cared about was one thing, the virus. On the day of the murder, Mr. Tiger's sole intention was to get his hands on this CD. Glenn Elg had no way of paying back the $100,000, and Mr. Tiger knew it. But then a miracle happened. The kind that Mr. Tiger would prefer to say never happened. But he can't, and neither can I.
The lottery win.
Exactly. At the 11th hour, Mr. Elg won $500,000 on the lottery, which left Mr. Tiger with no way of getting his hands on the all-important CD. At least, no legitimate way. So he resorted to illegitimate means.
That's crazy.
He murdered Glenn Elg and then made his next move, to frame Maggie Bird for the crime. Mr. Tiger posed as Glenn Elg, while Viola Cadaverini played the role of Miss Bird. And then they reenacted the whole thing in order to establish a witness. The witness being the one we all heard testify yesterday, Mr. Victor Kudo.
Objection.
Like I said, Trent, that's crazy. No one could pull off a stunt like that. For starters, there's no way the chef could have been kept in the dark about it.
He's got a loan. But Mr. Armstrong was in on it from the very beginning. Have you forgotten already, Mr. Godo? Mr. Armstrong owed the witness money too. $500,000, in fact. He had no choice but to go along with Mr. Tiger's plan.
Order. Silence or I will clear the...
Yeah. You've put on a good show, Spiky. If yous want to stay alive in the loan shark business, you gotta be careful. You saying I dressed up like that kid, created a witness, and framed someone? If I did something crazy like that, I'd leave a trail as bright as my shirt.
And as bright as your skin.
I ain't dumb enough to do something sloppy like that.
I agree.
You do?
Despite your appearance, you are very careful. That's why you took one more precaution. One more trick to make sure Miss Bird had no way out.
What? Another one, Mr. Wright?
Yeah, another one? I'm a little bit confused at the moment. Here. Another one.
Interesting. Why don't you fill us all in, Trad? What was the trick you say Mr. Tiger performed to frame the accused?
The trick to frame the accused. Let me think about this. Well, there was the apron worn by Maggie, and it had this thing inside the apron. That might be the trick he's referring to. Yeah, I'm thinking it has something to do with that. Let's see. No? Did I fuck it? Did I done fuck it? Stop it, you asshole!
And? What's the relevance of that, Trot?
It's just a little intro.
An intro into what?
It seems all this has been elaborate. Oh, god damn it.
Was it the cyanide instead? No. Okay, shit. And I can't skip through a cutscene, so I just have to watch this guy drink coffee. Yeah, no. You could hear a pin drop.
Got him. At last. What? Why has everyone gone quiet? I said that before.
No, I said that bottle did... Is this the bottle you're referring to?
Yeah, that's it. That's the bottle the cyanide was in. But you ain't gonna find my prints on that bottle. Don't let that cozy-looking suit fool you people. That lawyer's just playing games.
Tell him, Mr. Prosecutor. Tell the guy where to go. You still haven't figured it out? Don't you realize what you just said?
What I said? What'd I just say?
You were summoned to this court for the first time earlier today. If you really had nothing to do with the murder, you shouldn't have known all the little details. For instance, you shouldn't have known what kind of bottle the potassium cyanide was in.
Yeah.
But just now, you slipped up in front of every single person in this courtroom. You described the exact bottle used by the killer to hold the poison.
Yous don't know who yous messing with? I'm the Tiger. I control millions of dollars on the black market. Yous think I'm gonna let some jumped up suit get the better of me?
Sure, the last piece of evidence was phony. But that's just what you deserve. The phony trial with a phony lawyer.
It was all played out by you, the biggest phony of all.
Oh, God. I like my vocal cords. I'm not gonna roar like that. Ooh, that's dramatic. And he's out. Oh. Okay. Well, what's going on? It looks like a blackout. Who the hell?
Well done. Tried. I saved my 17th cup of coffee just for you.
Damn it!
Savor it. While you watch the police restrain your prey.
Yeah. It is kind of cool seeing it in the dark like that, the eyepiece.
Mr. Wright, you caught a tiger by his toe, but if this one hollers, he won't be let go, you assholes.
How does he sleep? I have this strange suspicion he doesn't. I think he just runs on nothing but adrenaline and coffee.
Now then, how are things going with Mr. Tiger, Mr. Godot?
He's being arrested on suspicion of the murder of Glenn Elk, Your Honor.
Fortunately for us, we managed to rectify a very grave error. Miss Bird was found guilty in the absence of a genuine defense attorney.
Yes, she was.
And in the absence of genuine evidence. But the Tiger made one mistake.
Indeed. He very nearly got away with everything if it wasn't for that one slip of the tongue. Furio Tiger is a truly frightened criminal.
The truly frightening one is that defense attorney over there.
Godo.
Well, I am now in a position to deliver my verdict. This court finds the defendant, Maggie Bird, not guilty.
Hallelujah!
That is all. This court is adjourned.
My health is on a complete downfall right now. I have no wiggle room left for any of my energy bar. All right. 410, District Court, Defendant Lobby, number 1. Mr. Wright, I'm at a loss for words. Thank you, sir. Congratulations, Maggie. I was so mad when Mr. Wright landed me in all that trouble a month ago, but now I feel like I can forgive him. Hey, that wasn't me, Maggie. That was the tiger. Look, Nick, in the doorway. Gumshoe! Detective Gumshoe!
Oh, I guess I'll be heading off then. See you around.
But wait! Detective Gumshoe.
Oh, yeah. Congratulations, Maggie.
Thanks. A lot of people find Maggie annoying, but I love her. Why do you find her? Why does anybody find her annoying? It's weird. I knew you were innocent all along. Why didn't you say that in your testimony then? Huh? Oh, well, I was... guess I'll be heading off then. See you right... No, idiot. Wait up, detective! He just ran off. Maggie, why are you being so hard on him? He busted his butt for you. It's thanks to him that we got the medication bottle. That wasn't even of any use. Yes, it was. But it's only because Mr. Wright used it so cleverly. Detective Gumshoe was just running around in circles. Poor guy. Looks like she still isn't ready to forgive him. Can't you put in a good word for him, Nick? I don't know. I'll save and see if I can. Yeah, Maya's right. I should help Gumshoe out. It's clear he needs it. Maggie? You know, Detective Gumshoe's been really worried about you through all this. I wanted to believe that, sir. But on that first day of the trial, he practically gave the judge a free pass to lock me up. He didn't have any choice, Maggie. He's a detective. He has to report the facts. He doubted me. That's why. He thought I might have done it. I've got to prove to her that Gumshoe really cares about her. I know. I'll give her a little present to celebrate her freedom. I think I know what that present is. Weenies! Here you are. Present to celebrate your freedom. That's it. A present from Detective Gumshoe, made with a ton of love. He said you lost weight and he was worried about you. Detective Gumshoe. I actually really like weenies, you know, Did you guys hear that? I'm pretty ugly myself, you know. Yeah, the trial dragged on a bit today, didn't it? Is it okay if I eat this now? Absolutely. Ah, cocktail weenies. Everyone happy. So, how is it, Maggie? It's really good. And he cooked it himself. The lovable loaf. So the case of the phony versus genuine comes to an end. The false allegations surrounding Maggie have all been cleared up. And no more weenies. And who knows? Maybe a whole new chapter of her life is about to start. I doubt it. She's gonna choke on a weenie. Like that's just her luck. Episode 3, Recipe for Turnabout to the end. I'm serious. That's the first thing I think is going to happen. She's going to immediately choke on her lunch. That's how it usually works. All right, Turnabout Beginnings is the next one, and the last one of this game, from what I remember. Anyway, I'm saving here, and we will start off a new chapter the next time that we play Phoenix Wright. And like most of these games, I'm sure that this last chapter is hell on toast. Whew, I'm just happy that this time around, the stream didn't stretch on for 4 hours. Good lord. Like, that. I like a stream that's somewhere between 2 and 3. Shorter if I need to, need to leave. 4 is, it is a marathon. And only reserved for very specific occasions, Breath of the Wild, for example. Where there's so much stuff to do, and just, you kind of have to put in a whole lot of time to get that thing done. Anyway, that was a fun little chapter. Let's see. Oh, hey, look, the uniform. You know, I have to show this. This is ridiculous. I'm gonna add another output here. So whenever you guys see this screen, it cuts off right in the middle of the. Hold on a sec. Hold up. Here. There. Oh god, that doesn't look very good. Oh boy. See, I have to do a whole lot of fixing to make this thing work. It works, though. Here, no. Don't keep the aspect ratio. There, that's close enough. Now, that's what I see when I'm doing the stream. You know, just this little bit of a window. And every single time I pass through this menu, I see this. Everybody at the crotch has just been cut off. Which is fun. But anyway. So again, that'll do it for the stream tonight. Let me get rid of that so that's not clouding up the vision. Alright. Remember, isn't this blind? Oh, it is blind. But there was a moment in time where I did end up having to hop over to the wiki. And I needed to look up, like, a tiny little fact. I forget what fact it was. I was just stuck on one of the missions. And I only got, like, a tiny, tiny little thing about what I was doing wrong. And then I just blocked my vision from all of it. But the problem is, on that wiki, it shows you all of the chapters. It's just being like, you know, in the glossary, it shows all the chapters. And I seem to remember that there are only 4 chapters in this game, if I remember correctly. So that's how I know, you know, this is blind. It's just, unfortunately, yeah. That's why I don't like to go and look up things on wikis and stuff and spoil myself. Because, yeah, it does spoil a whole bunch of things. Like, I don't know anything about the cases, but I do know there are 4 chapters now. It's like, great, that's what I get for it. But anyway, but I don't know. When it comes to Phoenix Wright, it's almost necessary sometimes, just from the lap of logic that you need to take on these things. Anyway. But anyways, it's getting really freaking warm in here, and I need to turn on some AC. So we're going to call the stream for tonight. So thanks everybody who's popped into the chat to say hello. Oh, do you want... do you want you to say if I'm right or not? No. If I'm wrong about that, by all means, don't tell me. I like surprises. If I'm right, don't tell me. Only if I specifically say I need info or need help. Just, you know, keep it to yourself. But anyway, that'll do it for now. There, my brain. I am muddled. But again, everybody, thanks for coming out. If you wanted to take a look at this episode anytime after it's done, I'm going to be cutting out a whole lot of the parts where I got guilty verdicts, and I'm going to be posting it up on YouTube after I'm done with that. I stream on Saturdays, Sundays, and Wednesdays, all of them starting at around 7 o'clock p.m. Central Standard Time. Now, on Sunday, I'm thinking I'm going to do a little bit more Breath of the Wild, because I actually got the editing for the previous Breath of the Wild done, and it is currently uploaded on VidMe, so, yeah. I don't know, I've been trying to keep active on that, because I want to play more Breath of the Wild. That game's fun. And then I've also been playing Terraria on Wednesday as of late, and that's been fun. Oh, VidMe? VidMe is another video service, and I upload the Breath of the Wild videos to VidMe exclusively, because if I upload them to YouTube, they're going to get labeled under Content ID, and I am like wildly against that. Why VidMe? Man, it's convenient enough, and also it's particularly free. And like they allow, at least for my channel, they're allowing me to have 50 gigs of storage on it, and that's a whole lot nicer than I think Vimeo. They have you pay for extended storage or something like that, and I can't pay for a storage thing like that. I have difficulty making bills for my month-to-month basis, so that's why I use VidMe. So if you wanted to see any episodes of Breath of the Wild, almost literally pretty much the entirety of my VidMe channel right now is just Breath of the Wild Central. It's like what did I say before? It's the Breath of the Wild Power Hour. When's the next Ace Attorney? Again, the next one is going to be sometime. Unfortunately, I only stream 3 days a week, and I try and stretch out what games I'm playing, so I'm probably going to be doing it next week. Probably the same time. I don't know. It depends on my mood. If I'm straight up not interested in playing a game, I straight up will not play the game, so you can bet that I'll probably be doing it sometime on the weekend, though. You could say that for sure. All right. Anyway, yeah, I gotta get going, so I will. There we go. I'm gonna get up to cutting out all this stuff right away. So again, thanks for coming out, everybody. See you next time.